So I told you after the trial that Amber was just getting started with the drama, didn't I? I called it. So here we are with part 2 of the Amber interviews. And welcome back, Rise Tribe. I'm Angelica. I'm a psychotherapist with 30 years of experience, and I'm also a domestic violence survivor. Grab your mega pint and let's break it down.
Accusation aired for the world to see, and reaction on social media getting billions of views. Well, after the verdict, largely in favor of Depp, Heard called it a setback for other women who wanted to speak up. And now she says she fears other potential defamation lawsuits from her ex-husband as she looks to move forward. There's a text message where Johnny promises total global humiliation for you. Do you feel like that came true?
I know he promised it. I testified to this. I'm not a good victim, I get it. I'm not a likable victim. I'm not a perfect victim. But when I testified, I asked the jury to just see me as human and hear his own words, which is a promise to do this. It feels as though he has.
Amber Heard reflecting on the ripple effects of her tumultuous trial with Johnny Depp.
Okay, so right here, obviously, she is acting like the victim. She wants us to believe that she is the victim. And so this is what it means to play victim. Right here, you're seeing it right here. This is the definition of playing victim. Because in my view, she has been the abuser in this whole trial, in this whole fiasco. And in my view, I've seen the symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder, which I said, in the first interview. So it's clear, this is what happens after a relationship breaks up. Now the relationship broke up, the trial is finished. So now what happens? This whole smear campaign starts. And this is what happens to every abused person, man or woman, is the abuser, the narcissist, the narc, will start a smear campaign after it's over, after she's no longer getting narcissistic supply from the person. The person has seen the reality, has seen, the abuser for who they are, what they are, and the relationship is over. Then the smear campaign starts. This is all predictable. So the smear campaign, what happens there is she's smearing his name all over the world now, and she has been for the past 6 years, off the back of the Me Too movement, off the backs of all of us real domestic violence survivors. This is what has been happening. And I mean, it's much larger than it is for us normal people, in a normal situation where the person is not a star. In a normal situation, the smear campaign will start by the abuser trashing you to your family, their family, your friends, your coworkers, however they can smear your name, they will. So this is exactly what's happening here. And in that process, the abuser attempts to, make themselves seem like the victim. Big time. They will play victim. They will cry, they will get depressed, they will, have all kinds of symptoms. And, in that process, they attempt to get flying monkeys. And flying monkeys are, the people she's going to tell the stories to. So she attempts to get them on her side and against the real victim of abuse. So this is what's happening right here.
Been found liable, are you nervous as we are here today about what you can say now?
course. I took for granted what I assumed was my right to speak.
Do you feel like you could be sued again by him for defamation?
I'm scared that no matter what I do, no matter what I say or how I say it, every step that I take will present another opportunity for this sort of silencing, which is what I guess a defamation lawsuit is meant to do. It's meant to take your voice.
But Amber is...
Okay, hold on, Amber. Let me tell you who was silenced in this whole scenario. Let me tell you who was silenced in this whole relationship. Johnny was the one that was silenced. And that's what he testified to. He testified that he was silenced. He was silenced by Amber. He said, I could no longer speak. I could no longer speak. Because he was shut down all the time. She shut him down all the time. She made him wrong. She criticized him. She put him down, berated him. And he said that many times over. Many times he said, I was berated. The berating, it was constant. Never ending. And we all know, those of us that are survivors, we have also lived that. I know I certainly have. Constant berating every day, shutting you down. Don't say that. Don't talk. You can listen to my PTSD video. I go more into that, my own experience of that. And it does shut you down, and we are oppressed. And so Johnny was oppressed this way. Johnny was the one that was silenced. Don't get it twisted. Johnny was the one that had his voice taken away. Johnny has had his voice taken away for the past 6 years when he was accused of being the abuser. Don't get it twisted.
Is still speaking just days after a jury stunned many and found the actress defamed Depp in an op-ed where she said she was a public figure representing domestic abuse. The piece, which never mentioned Depp by name, was published 2 years after the couple announced they had settled their divorce. Life had seemingly moved on, and you decide to write an op-ed. Why did you do that?
Because the op-ed wasn't about my relationship with Johnny.
But it alluded to him. It was unmistakable.
You know, what the op-ed was about was, me loaning my voice to a bigger cultural conversation that we were having at the time.
Did you worry, gosh, I'd love to be a person weighing in on these cultural issues, but that's going to stir this all up again?
I obviously knew it was important for me not to make it about him or to do anything like defame him. I had lawyers, teams of lawyers, review all the drafts of this.
When you wrote this op-ed, it was the height of Me Too. Legions of powerful men being canceled, losing their jobs. Did you want that to happen to Johnny Depp?
Of course not. Of course not. It wasn't about.
And yes, of course, obviously, this is what she wanted for him to experience. She wanted him to be canceled. This is why she did this. Obviously. Why else would she do this? You know, she took on the persona of an abused woman. And listen, this is what they do. Somebody with NPD, they will take on the persona of another person because they don't have their own sense of self. They are chameleons in that way. And so she took on the persona of an abused woman. She learned about them. She studied them. She learned, what are the symptoms of an abused woman? So she starts talking like one. And so she takes on this persona and she takes over the whole Me Too movement, and throws Johnny under the bus and ruins his career. He lost, it's estimated, $40 million over this. And the thing is, with somebody with NPD, they will try to destroy their victims, their targets. because they have zero sense of self-esteem, zero sense of self-worth. So they try to destroy the person that they're with. They try to destroy their careers. They will take away all their friends, their family, everything. They try to annihilate their life. This is what's happened to us as domestic violence survivors. And this is exactly what happened to Johnny. And this is exactly what she did. This is exactly what she's done for 6 years. Because we believed her. 6 years ago when this first came out, we believed her. Right? Because we didn't hear the other story, the other side of the story.
Oh, him.
But the op-ed and the abuse alleged was at the heart of the 6-week trial.
Just pulls his arm back with the phone and throws it at my face. Hit me right in what felt like my eye.
Heard testified that the final straw came after a violent fight in May 2016. 6 days later, she filed for a restraining order, cameras capturing her as she left the courthouse. But Depp's lawyers convinced the jury Heard was lying about the abuse. Police who responded to the 2016 incident testified during the trial that they didn't see any injuries and that Heard declined to file charges.
This was a hoax, according to his team. Why didn't I cooperate with the police? As I've testified before, and I will stand by until my dying day, I didn't want to cooperate with them. I didn't want this to be out.
Okay, right here, as I said in the last video, part 1, she will stand by what she's saying till her dying day. Why? Because somebody with NPD is a compulsive liar. And what is the motto of the person with NPD? What is the motto of the narcissist, the abuser? The motto is lie till you die. Lie till you die. And they do. And she's been lying her entire life, I would say, because for most people with NPD, this is what they have to do. They've been lying since they're a child because they develop the NPD when they're children. And it's because of the abuse. It's because of the severe emotional and physical abuse, which she experienced. And so they start lying out of necessity. It's a defense mechanism. It's in order to protect themselves. They start lying. But this continues into adulthood. And so she's, they become very adept. They're very, very good at it. And this is a way of life. This is also why I would guess she would pass a polygraph test. Because the lie becomes the reality. Her portrayal of being an abused woman and her involvement in the Me Too movement has become like her reality. And so the lies become their reality. And they are expert chameleons. They are expert manipulators. And because it's been ingrained, because it was a defense mechanism since they are children. So it's second nature. To lie is second nature. To manipulate is second nature. As sad as that is the reality.
I didn't want this to be known. I didn't want to cooperate with them because I didn't want this to be, I didn't want to get him in trouble. If it was a hoax, I could have done that.
But 5 days later, you went to court and it came out.
5 days later, I made the decision to stand up for myself and protect myself. You can't get a restraining order in private, which of course I didn't understand the night when the cops were called.
An employee of TMZ testified at court and said that TMZ was tipped off about when you were going to be going to the courthouse and on what side of your face bruises would be apparent. Did you tip off TMZ?
I was going to say, he certainly didn't get tipped off by me or anyone in my...
you know tip off TMZ?
Why would they? No.
You ask no one to do that?
As I testified to before, it had nothing to do with me.
There are different incidents that you testified to, and the Depp legal team would put up pictures of you publicly right after that or in the days following and saying that why are there no bruises?
Again, it's that thing. If you have bruising, if you have injuries, it's fake. If you don't have any, then you weren't injured.
You had promised to.
Okay, so right here, for those of us real domestic violence survivors, haven't we heard this kind of thing so many times? You know, this is an attempt at gaslighting us. It's an attempt at gaslighting the public. And what I mean by gaslighting is that she's denying the obvious. It's what I call a mindfuck technique. It's a total mindfuck technique. And it's just, you know, she's trying to make us believe that we didn't hear what we heard. No, it's not true. She's denying the obvious. We all saw Morgan Tremaine on the trial, Morgan Tremaine from TMZ, testifying that he had gone, they had been tipped off by somebody that she was going to be there. So they went to take pictures of her. And they knew the exact angle, what side of her face. I mean, the man testified to that, and now she's trying to deny it. And we've all heard that, you know, domestic violence survivors, we all hear the abuser denying the obvious. This is what happens all the time, over and over and over. We're gaslit this way. It's constant. And, you know, it's crazy making, and it's all part of the game. It's all part of wearing us down, wearing down the victim, the target. And it's just constant lies and manipulation. And this is the reality.
Donate the $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity. It was revealed at trial that you haven't done so yet. However, they played a tape where you stayed on the air that you have donated it. Do you think that raised questions as to your credibility with the jury?
I made a pledge, and that pledge is made over time by its nature. And
when you say I donated, you know that everybody thinks that you've donated it, not that you've pledged it. So for the jurors sitting there, do you think they felt like that was you getting caught in a lie?
I don't know, because so much of I feel like so much of the trial was meant to cast aspersions on who I am as a human, my credibility, to call me a liar in every way you can. And
that was the trial. It was a credibility contest. And that was it.
This is another one of the examples where if you pull back and you think about it, I shouldn't have to have donated it in an effort to be believed. I shouldn't have had to earmark the entirety of that in order to have
You shouldn't have, but once you said you did.
Right, which is where it was intended to go.
Heard says she...
Okay, so, I mean, obviously, it's obvious to everybody that this is a lie. Like, you know, she said she was donating it just to make herself look good, just so that we wouldn't think that she's just going after Johnny for all he's got, which is what a lot of narcissist abusive women will do. I've had many male clients who've been the victim of narcissistic abuse, and, you know, the wife, the girlfriend has, you know, taken them for all they've got. And they do the same thing. They put them down, they emasculate them, call them down to the lowest. You know, this is what happens. And so, you know, but why would somebody want to donate all of their money anyway? Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense unless she would be, you know, multi-millionaire, which apparently she's not. It kind of doesn't make sense to begin with. And it just seems to be an attempt to make herself look, like an upstanding citizen, like, such a beautiful person. But, we see through the lies.
He still plans to honor that pledge.
How do you see your future now? I get to be a mom, like, full time, where I'm not having to juggle calls with lawyers.
One day you may want to tell your daughter about this or have to tell your daughter about everything that you've gone through. What would you want to say?
I think no matter what, it will mean something. I did the right thing. I did everything I could to stand up for myself and the truth.
Heard and Depp's volatile relationship lasted just 4 years. Depp confirming his engagement to me on Today in 2014.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you excited?
Yeah, very. She's a wonderful girl. She's sharp as a tack, wonderful, Southern belle, and sweet as can be, and very good for me,
On the first.
Now, this should not surprise any survivor of domestic violence, IPV, because we all know that at the beginning of most of these relationships, there's the love bombing. This is where the abuser, the narc, makes you feel like gold. They treat you in such a loving way, and sometimes it's just such love bombing. It's unbelievable. And I have clients who that's happened to. Just unbelievable love bombing, incredibly romanced, and it's just it's a fairy tale romance, and you can't believe it. And the person seems to have so much in common with you. It's just incredible. And you know what? Let me tell you something. The person has so much in common with you because, like I said, they are chameleons. And so they become just like you. They become just like us. Amber became just like Johnny. And Johnny has marveled, and he said, we love the same books. We love the same quirky books. We love the same quirky music. It was just incredible. She was my soulmate. We just had so much in common. Did you? Did you really? Or did she study you? Because this is what the narcissist will do. The narcissist will study their target. They will study you. They will find out what are your likes, what are your dislikes, what are you into. Because it certainly happened to me in past relationships. To the point of, an ex getting a tattoo because of the particular thing that I was into. He wasn't into that because he later criticized me about that. He later put me down for that very thing that he had a tattoo for. So it made no sense. But this is what they do. They will go to great lengths. They will go to extremes. And did you notice she was dressing like Johnny during the trial? If he wore brown, she was wearing brown. If he wore a gray suit, she wore a gray suit. If he wore a black suit, she wore a black suit. If he wore blue, she wore blue. Did you notice? It's true. And it's a bizarre thing. But this is why Johnny fell in love with her.
First day of the trial, you issued a statement, and part of the statement said, I still have love for Johnny.
Yes.
Is that still true?
Yes.
After everything?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love him. I loved him with all my heart. And I tried the best I could to make a deeply broken relationship work. And I couldn't. I have no bad feelings or ill will towards him at all. I know that might be hard to understand, or it might be really easy to understand. If you've just ever loved anyone, it should be easy.
Okay, so let's talk about this one now. I mean, obviously this is a distorted love. She may believe that it's love, but it's obsession. Okay, the abuser, one of the characteristics of all abusers is obsession. Obsession, jealousy, envy. And, it's not love when you're constantly gaslighting and, you have a whole smear campaign going on. And, because this is very typical. This is what has happened in Johnny's relationship. And this relationship is typical of all abusive relationships. There's the manipulating, the conniving, scheming behind your back, wanting to annihilate you, wanting to destroy your entire life. Why? Because they have such low self-esteem, zero sense of self-worth. So they have to destroy you because they don't want you doing better than they are. They don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to prosper in life. So they try to destroy anything that's good in your life. And she certainly did that. She's done that to Johnny for 6 years. And that is not love. That is obsession. Now, it's possible that they can still have a strong connection. And this is one very sad thing about an abusive relationship, is if there is a strong connection there. I mean, despite all of this, fuck shit going on, all of this mind fuck going on, there still may be an underlying strong connection there. And the sad thing, one of the saddest things about these relationships is that it can't work because they're not capable of loving you, loving, the target, the victim, the empath. They're not capable of loving the empath the way that a person should be loved and valued and respected. They're not capable because of their wounding, because of the personality disorder. These are disordered individuals. It's called a personality disorder for a reason, because it is a very serious disorder. And it's very, very unconscious. There's so much unconscious wounding. And this is why it's very difficult for them to overcome this, is because the wounding happens at such a young age that the wounding is not conscious. So this is why they don't take any responsibility for their actions, because a lot of their actions are unconscious. So this is why it's very difficult for them to work out issues in therapy, because it's so unconscious. So yes, and another point on that is that, yes, I do believe that they were soulmates. I do believe, because a soulmate is not always a positive thing. A soulmate can be somebody that's just meant to teach you lessons. And in this whole scenario, I believe that, Johnny is meant to learn about his own value. He's meant to learn to value himself, to love himself, and to never allow himself to be devalued and disrespected and abused in this way. So in this sense, Amber has been very much a soulmate for him. And it's the same for all of us, in these abusive relationships. We're meant to grow. We're meant to, find our own sense of self-worth and value. So thank you for joining me. So like, comment, and subscribe if you would like to hear me react to the last video on Dateline. I will be doing that soon. And also, if you are in need of psychotherapy, you can click on the link down below in the Buy Me a Coffee link. And there I share weekly content, exclusive content. I provide awesome healing videos.